What if the single most explosive piece of evidence in the federal case against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs should never have existed? Picture a packed courtroom. 3 weeks into a trial, already simmering with tension. Prosecutors slip a nameless flash drive into a computer. The judge orders the doors sealed, and a 12-minute recording erupts through the speakers. Two unmistakable voices, Diddy and Kanye West, discuss a woman, a payout, and something they call the insurance. The gallery freezes. Reporters exchange glances. In that instant, the case stops being about one man's alleged crimes and morphs into a map of an industry-wide cover-up. Stick around, because by the time we reach the final still-sealed clips, you may question every inspirational speech you've ever heard from a superstar. The moment that flash drive pierced the silence. The flash drive detonation. The night before the prosecution's bombshell, Diddy's legal team was quietly celebrating small procedural wins, motions to suppress spreadsheets, quibbles over witness lists, the usual chess moves of a high-profile defense. Nobody expected new evidence. Discovery was supposed to be locked. Yet on the morning of day 16, Assistant U.S. Attorney Maya Alvarez strode in carrying a plain white envelope. No press leak, no cryptic tweet, just one USB stick, chain of custody tag still warm from the evidence locker. The judge, a man known for surgical brevity, lifted an eyebrow, confirmed the chain of custody, and ordered the courtroom sealed. Every journalist typed the same words into their draft notes. Sealed session, possible plea. What they got instead was pure shock theater. A tech clerk slid the drive into the tower. File name, Combs West, 2016 private.m4a. Timestamp, June 18, 2016, 11:42 p.m., Miami. Diddy's voice led, calm, unhurried. Did we square her? Kanye, half whisper, half grumble. We did what was needed. A woman's name, Ila, floated in the dialogue like a ghost. Then came a phrase prosecutors would quote for weeks. The insurance file stays buried unless somebody talks. No music chatter, no talk of fashion lines or streaming deals, just two cultural titans discussing hush payments and contingency plans as casually as studio schedules. As the tape rolled, heads turned toward the defense table. One junior attorney visibly mouthed, "How did they get this?" When the audio stopped, the courtroom exhaled as if an invisible hand had been gripping every throat. The judge turned to the bench. "Please authenticate." Forensic agents confirmed GPS metadata, cell tower pings, and an unbroken digital chain from Diddy's encrypted backups, seized during the March raid on his Miami studio. The file was genuine. Defense shouted, contextless, inflammatory, begging for exclusion. The judge overruled in 8 words. Context is exactly what the jury requires. And with that, the narrative detonated beyond anything a public relations team could spin. Transition. Yet Ila was no longer just a name. On a dusty lawsuit, she was about to become the crack that split an industry. Unmasking. Iowa journalists never sleep, especially when the story smells like blood and money. Within hours, a trio of investigative reporters traced Ila to a sealed 2018 civil suit in Miami-Dade County. Plaintiff listed only as L.A. Digging. Deeper, they discovered a 24-year-old artist liaison who'd claimed she was drugged at a private industry party hosted by Diddy. In her deposition, she recalled Kanye turning up for exactly 13 minutes, then vanishing as security whisked her, dazed, toward a back stairwell. That case settled in 90 days. No trial, no transcript. An ironclad NDA padded with a 6-figure payout locked the file away. But federal court doesn't honor hush contracts signed under potential duress. The leaked audio cracked the seal wide open. Prosecutors subpoenaed every scrap. Medical reports showing sedative traces, hotel CCTV capturing Ila stumbling, security logs listing codename A-list Rose for that specific party. Outside the courthouse, pundits debated whether the tape was smoking gun or red herring. Inside, the prosecution treated it as map coordinates pointing toward something bigger. If Ila's silence had cost 6 figures, how many zeros hid behind the other folders from that Miami vault? Transition. To find out, agents went back to Diddy's studio, and what they unearthed made the flash drive look like a teaser trailer. The hidden vault picture. A server room disguised as a storage closet, soundproofed walls, biometric lock, false HVAC vents. Agents originally walked past it, thinking it was just another vocal booth. Only after cross-referencing power draw logs did they realize a second heavily shielded network lived behind that door. Inside, a RAID array humming with terabytes of data. Encrypted directories, each double-salted with rotating keys, nested 3 layers deep. One folder, Fallouts, held audio clips tagged with women's initials, date stamped within hours of known complaints. Another, S-Funds, mapped wire transfers from a charitable music foundation into an account labeled Health Project Aruba, a shell flagged years earlier in an unrelated fraud probe. And then there was Venture Train, a video trove with silent security footage. Hallways, penthouse suites, studio lounges. One grainy clip showed Kanye pacing while Diddy laughed, each periodically checking the only lit phone in the room. Forensic? Analysts matched every timestamp to cell tower hits and flight logs. No deepfakes, no clever edits. The vault wasn't a stash of incriminating content accidentally gathered. It was an archive of leverage, insurance not just against whistleblowers, but perhaps against each other. Transition. Corporate America felt the quake before the public did, and panic doesn't look good on a balance sheet. Corporate fallout and the NDA panic. The first brand to flinch was a luxury sneaker label that had poured 8 figures into a joint capsule line with Kanye. Their legal department scrubbed his name from the upcoming lookbook overnight, citing inventory, realignment. Within 48 hours, 3 global record groups ordered internal audits of every contract tied to Diddy's charity foundation. Share prices dipped, investors asked terse questions, and corporate comms teams drafted statements, heavy on values and light on specifics. But the damage wasn't just PR. State attorneys general in California, New York, and Illinois announced coordinated reviews of NDAs used to muzzle victims of high-profile figures. The DOJ's white-collar division launched a task force targeting CWE, reputation laundering, the exact phrase a former luxury brand compliance officer would soon testify about under oath. Meanwhile, middle-tier managers, talent agents, tour accountants, brand deal brokers started digital wipes, deleting photos, scrubbing LinkedIn endorsements, renaming shared drive folders from Kanye Mentorship 2015 to internal meeting do, not use, transition. And yet, in the eye of the storm stood Kanye West, a man equally capable of vanishing or detonating when cornered. Kanye's tightrope and celebrity collateral. Kanye had weathered scandals before. Outbursts, political U-turns, canceled sneaker drops. But nothing like this. For once, he stayed silent. No tweets, no live-streamed rebuttal, just an attorney's 2-sentence denial. Behind closed doors, insiders whispered that subpoenas already bore his name. Leaks multiplied. A prison call transcript surfaced. Diddy, speaking to an incarcerated former bodyguard, urges Kanye to stay on script. That same week, Kid Cudi, once mentee and friend, quietly withdrew from a festival lineup citing creative misalignment. Social media speculated that Cudi was prepping testimony. Streams of his decade-old diss track, Gorgeous, unedited, quadrupled overnight, fans mining lyrics for hidden references. Legacy artists who had bragged for years about studio sessions with the two moguls began issuing statements of shock and sadness. A gospel choir director deleted every Instagram post tagging Kanye's Sunday service. In LA, a wellness startup personally backed by Diddy scrambled to reassure investors it had no operational entanglements with Combs Enterprises, though finance records hinted otherwise. Transition. But the real Pandora's box was a weekend retreat in the Bay, Arizona desert that had gone almost entirely undocumented until now. The Sedona Summit Mystery Sedona, Arizona, September 2015. Officially billed as a creative mentorship summit, the retreat invited 20 rising artists, aged 18 to 25, to a private Red Rock estate. The invite promised sunrise meditations, studio masterclasses, and guidance from 2 visionary mentors. Attendees signed NDAs thicker than the welcome packets. No public photos exist. The event's website vanished months after the summit, living on only in the Wayback Machine's pixelated screenshots. Travel records subpoenaed from Jet Suite X revealed chartered flights under dummy LLCs, Starwave Events, and North Country Holdings. Hotel bookings were processed through prepaid cards. One assistant recalled being told, No phone zones after dusk, non-negotiable. Fast forward to the present. Federal agents cross-checking those flight manifests against the vault's video feeds discovered overlapping faces. 2 attendees appear in both datasets. One later filed an anonymous harassment claim in 2018. The other is rumored to be the intern Kanye references in the now infamous clip. That's how the intern thing happened. Capitol Records, a partial sponsor of the summit, has suspended all mentorship programs pending an internal audit. Universal Music Group, fearing shareholder lawsuits, purged archived promo material featuring the retreat faster than you can say, brand risk. Transition. As public outrage snowballed, politics smelled an opportunity, and the spectacle leapt from courtroom drama to national debate. When politics enters the chat in late April 2025, former President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, hinting he might pardon certain persecuted entertainers if re-elected, a not-so-subtle reference, pundits agreed, to Diddy and Kanye. The remark lit a bipartisan fuse. Senate Judiciary Chair Maria Morales called the suggestion an affront to every survivor coerced into silence. 50 Cent fired back on Instagram, earning 3 million likes in 18 hours. Bro, even I ain't touching that grenade. Cable news feasted. One network rolled a chyron. Hip-hop pardon, justice, or celebrity privilege. Pollsters clocked a rare 68% opposition to any pardon talk, with Gen Z respondents the most vehement. Behind the scenes, DOJ brass weren't amused. Sources said the pardon chatter only hardened their resolve. Investigators quietly expanded the probe to include potential RICO charges. Subpoenas reached 3 corporate accounting firms linked to both artists' charitable entities. One congressional staffer leaked an email thread titled Star Witness Coordination, proof the Hill was preparing for televised hearings on celebrity hush structures. Transition. Suddenly, the question wasn't whether Diddy and Kanye could dodge jail time. It was how many pillars of pop culture might crumble with them. Bigger than 2 titans, by early May, only 15% of the vault's contents had been unsealed. Yet the tremors rattled everything from streaming algorithms to fragrance lines. Spotify inserted discreet disclaimer links beneath curated Diddy and Kanye playlists, similar to health warnings on cigarettes. Netflix quietly shelved a big-budget docuseries about Kanye's fashion empire, citing editorial pause. Charity watchdogs launched parallel audits of every nonprofit founded by a top-tier entertainer in the last decade. One firm reported a sudden spike in requests to stress test NDAs for regulatory compliance. Insurance giants raised premiums on event policies involving A-list artists, citing emerging reputation hazards. Even the Met Gala felt aftershocks. Designers once desperate for Kanye's avant-garde cosign now pitched collaborations with alternative stars, pivoting their mood boards overnight. Paparazzi lenses, once magnetized to the biggest names, began hunting for the next safe face, reshaping red carpet economics. Transition. Yet after all the raids, testimonies, and ruptured alliances, a single chilling fact remained. Most of the vault is still locked. The unopened files. The public has heard hours of clandestine audio, seen ledgers that trace hush money through charities and shell companies, and watched corporate giants backpedal at record speed. Yet prosecutors insist that 85% of the digital vault is still under review, some clips sealed to protect minors, others held back to avoid tipping off additional targets. So here we stand, ankle-deep in disclosures that have already rewritten the rules of fame. If one flash drive can fracture empires, what happens when the vault flies fully open and your favorite icon's voice echoes in a room they hoped you'd never enter? Stay tuned, because the next audio drop isn't a matter of if, it's only a matter of when.